7 stars who made the Hollywood blacklist. 1. Dalton Trumbo. Trumbo was one of the 1947 Hollywood 10. These were the first artists to be called to testify. They were called before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Everyone was asked,
"Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?"
Trumbo had, but he refused to answer. He was charged with contempt of Congress. Blacklisted by Hollywood, he spent a year in federal prison. Trumbo was forced to write under pseudonyms. 2. Pete Seeger, the famous folk singer, was the founder of the Weavers. He was also a communist in his early years. The FBI investigated Seeger in the 1940s and 1950s. He was barred from performing on TV. The Weavers broke up in 1952, losing their recording contract. Seeger didn't appear on TV until 1968. 3. Orson Welles. Welles was also investigated by the FBI. Their suspicions only grew after the release of Citizen Kane. One FBI report read,
"The evidence before us leads inevitably to the conclusion that the film Citizen Kane is nothing more than an extension of the Communist Party's campaign to smear one of its most effective and consistent opponents in the United States."
Welles chose to relocate to Europe. 4. Lena Horne. Horne wasn't a Communist Party member, but many of her activist friends were, so she was blacklisted in 1950. The former movie star had to work in nightclubs. She fought to clear her name by publicly repudiating communism. The plan worked, and by the mid-1950s she was in the clear. 5. Charlie Chaplin. Chaplin's films were seen as subversive. 1947's Monsieur Verdoux was fiercely anti-capitalist. The FBI accused Chaplin of being a communist sympathizer. He was booed at the premiere. There were calls to boycott his movies and deport him. In 1952, Chaplin was denied re-entry to the U.S. As a British national, he was forced to turn around. He never set foot in America again, with one exception. Chaplin made a trip in 1972 to collect his honorary Oscar. 6. Lee Grant. Grant's first movie, Detective Story, came out in 1951. Just a few weeks later, she attended a funeral for J. Edward Bromberg. Bromberg had been blacklisted. Grant mentioned it in her eulogy, criticizing HUAC. That was enough to get her on the blacklist. She was later called before HUAC, but refused to answer their questions. Except for occasional bit parts, Grant had no roles for the next 12 years. She made a comeback in the 1960s. In 1975, she even won an Oscar for Shampoo. 7. Leonard Bernstein. The famous composer was also a tireless activist. Bernstein supported various left-wing causes. He was never a member of the Communist Party. Nevertheless, the FBI considered him dangerous. He was blacklisted from CBS and denied passport renewal. This was done to prevent him from touring. Bernstein remained a vocal leftist long after HUAC was gone. He supported the Black Panthers in the 1960s. In the 1980s, Bernstein made a FOI request to view his FBI file. It turned out to be 800 pages long.